All right, so just a quick review. The mean, median, and mode. What is the mean? What is the mean? You guys remember?
Average.
Yes, the average. Okay, and how do we find the average of something?
Add all them and divide by 100.
Yeah, this is average. Average. So you add everything. You add all the items or values, and then divide by however many there were. So you add them all and then divide by however many there were. So these values here on this example here, 19, 13, 15, 25, and 18. So there are 5 items, 5 values. They're adding them all up and dividing by 5, and they get 18, okay? So the mean is the sum of the values and then divided by however many there were. That should be pretty explanatory, very familiar, okay? So if you know the average but you're missing one of the values, you can substitute that value. You can substitute that value with a variable right here. So this is like, we know that there are 6 values, and we know that the average is 85. And so this is a good example of like, well, what do I need to make on this test to get the grade that I want? So you can substitute the grade of the test with a variable, and then use this average formula to come up with your needed grade here. So all of the test grades added up, divided by 6 total tests, supposed to give you an 85 right here. And then we can solve this. We can add all of those values up. Somebody add those up in your calculator real quick. Somebody add those up. Is it 419? Okay, thank you. So 419 plus S, unknown score, divided by 6 equals 85. And what's the easiest way to solve this one? I don't like fractions. How do we get rid of fractions in equations? Yeah, multiply by the denominator. Okay. So what's 85 times 6? 510. And then subtract 419. So Corey needs a what on this last test? 91. So if he wants his test grades to average to an 85, he's going to need a 91 on this last one to make that average happen. Okay. Okay. The median. The median is the midpoint or middle. It's the middle. Okay, so literally you're just lining all of the values up and identifying the exact middle of them. Okay? If the middle is one of your values, great, you're already done. So in this example here, all of the values are listed right there. They have ordered them. They've lined them all up, 15, 19, 20, 29, and 36. And 20 is the exact middle. And so 20 is our median. Okay? So this works really nicely if you have an odd number of values, because there's one of the values is the exact middle spot. What if you have an even number of values? What do we do in that case? Like this next example. We have 6 values here, and so there's not really a middle value, right? Both of these are equally the middle of this array of values here. So you have to average the 2 middle numbers if you have an even number. So the average of 65 or 67 and 75 is 71. 71. So the exact middle here is 71. That's what would squeeze in between those 2 middle values. So again, 71 isn't the average of all of these. Okay, that's not what we're doing here. It's not the average of all of these, just the average of the middle 2, because we had an even number here. And this is median. So hopefully a good review for you. And then the mode, I always remember mode is most. Mode is most. So the most number of something, like if you have any repeat values in your list, then whichever value is repeated the most number of times is the mode. So the mode of this set of values, 15, 21, 26, 25, 21, you see 21 is repeated 3 different times. 3 different times. And so that's more times than any other value, so 21 is the mode. Okay. And then we have the range. The range is the spread of all the numbers. So how far from the lowest number to the highest number. So to find the spread of these numbers, you need to line them up. 13. Well, I guess technically you don't need to line them up. Identify the smallest and the largest. So the largest minus the smallest will give you your range. So in this case, 25 minus 13, your range is 12. Okay. So our numbers span all the way from 13 to 21 or 25. Okay. So in this example here, which measure would change the most if 98 were added to the set of numbers? Which measure? So we need to find the mean, median, and median, and mode of all of these values, and then throw 98 in there and find the mean, median, and mode again, and see which one changed the most. Anybody want to see me do this? Yeah? Okay. All right. So mean. So 9 plus 13 plus 15 plus 25 plus 18 divided by, there are 5 different values. That's the mean. The median is the middle. So just line them all up in order. 9, 13, 15, 18, 25, and the median is the middle, so that's 15. And then the mode, are there any repeats? No? So what do we do? Did you catch it on the previous screen? What do we do if there are no repeats? No mode. If there are no repeats, there are no mode. Okay? So there is none. Okay. Did somebody take the time to find the average? The mean? Adding them all up and divide by 5? It was what? 16. 16. Okay. So that's mean, median, and mode. And then I guess the range too, we can find the range from 19 to... Range is not always something you find here because it's not a measure of central tendency traditionally, but we'll find it. So 9 to 25, 16. All right. And then if we throw 98 in there, let's see what happens. So 9 plus 13 plus 15 plus 18 plus 25 plus 98 divided by how much? 6, yeah, because there are now 6 items. Somebody do that in your calculator. We can see that the median is somewhere between 15 and 18, right? Because those are your 2 middle values. There is no middle value because it's an even number of values. There's 6 total values, so in between the 3rd and the 4th, 15 and 18, what is the average of 15 and 18? $16.5. Did anybody do the mean yet? What was our mean? 29.6. Okay. The most, there is still none. And then the range goes all the way from 9 to 98. So the range is, what is 98 minus 9? 89. Okay. So it looks like if you're just measuring measures of central tendency, your mean changed quite a bit. It jumped up by 7.6. No, sorry, 12.6. 13.6 even. 13.6. Your median jumped up only by 1.5, from 15 to 16.5. Your mode didn't change. There's still no mode. And your range, if we're counting range, jumped up the most, although I wouldn't count range, but who knows? Jumped up the most. Whatever 89 minus 16 is, what is that, 73? Okay. All right. Couple of quick things relating to geometry. A pyramid. So the volume of a pyramid is 1/3 base area times the height. That's volume. The lateral area, which is just the sides of the pyramid, just the sides, it is 1/2 perimeter of the base times slant height. And then the total surface area is the area of the base plus the sides. So plus the 1/2 perimeter times slant height. Okay. And if you remember, your slant height is the height that goes from the very top of the pyramid down the middle of one of the sides, okay? And this formula is good. There are other formulas for slant height. This is the one you learned in geometry, because in geometry you are working with regular pyramids that have bases that are regular polygons, okay? So that means the slant height would be the same on all of them. So if you need help, if you have a different kind of pyramid, maybe that has a rectangular base, I can't remember, there might be one in the homework. We can figure out a different formula, but that one should work for you for what we're doing and what you've been doing in high school. Okay, and then I think that was all I wanted to mention. Let me look at my Post-it real quick. What's the sum of all of the interior angles of a triangle?
180.
Yeah. Any triangle adds up to 180. Those three angles add up to 180. Interior sum is 180 degrees. Okay? So whether those are actual degree measures or expressions, like 3x and 5x and 7x, okay, you can add them all up and say that they're equal to 180 because they're in a triangle. And then this is fairly obvious, but if I have a circle, if I have a circle and this angle right here in the middle of the circle, this is like, I don't know, 110 degrees, then what is the measure of this arc? What's the measure of that arc? Don't overthink it. 110. Okay? 110. So We call this the central angle. This is called the central angle because it's at the center. Cray cray. And then this is the arc. So the measure of the arc is always the same as the central angle. Some of you were trying to double it. That's when if these lines went all the way across the circle, that would be where you're doing like the doubling rule if you remember from geometry. But that is all. That is all. You're welcome to get started on your homework. It's already live right now, and then of course most of you guys have burned through the little worksheet. So